Mindleaf Technologies was started in 1993 by Paresh. It's in the healthcare field, and we'll go into a little more detail in a minute. He has 170 employees. His revenues in 2011, as you'll see from your notes, were about 8.4 million. Last year they were 7.8. There's an expectation, fingers crossed, that we'll get to over 12 million this year. But as you look at your notes, you'll see that the revenue for the years going out after that is relatively flat. The challenge for Paresh, like a lot of companies, particularly in the consulting area, is you develop a niche, you rely on one or two major customers, and then things happen in the marketplace that are not under your control. Specifically in the case of Paresh, you've got his biggest customer, as you will see from reading the notes, is the Department of Defense. With sequester, with changes in government practices, trying to find the cheapest method of delivery, you know, he's under tremendous pressure. Yes, it's nice to have a 2- or 4-year contract from the Department of Defense, but you know, when it comes up for renewal, and Paresh may tell you this later, but for instance, with the Air Force, there are 4 companies that provide the services. He's one of them. There's no guarantee that the next time it comes up for renewal that the Air Force will say, all right, it's been nice with 4, but we want 2. And so therefore, there's tremendous pressures on your margin. And you know, you can talk to Paresh later, but you will see that the size of his competitors, some of them are very large organizations who can absorb these margin cuts. Others are more like him that fortunately would have to then withdraw from that marketplace. The other issue that Paresh faces is, and we as consumers sometimes see it, but there are a set of codes that are used for billing purposes, whether it's hospitals, doctors, clinics, whatever, and it's these codes that determine whether the provider of the service gets paid. And you'll see in the document something referred to as ICD-10. There was a schedule to change those codes, to modify them, and there was a timetable put in place to implement them. I think it's fair to say today that the original timetable has changed. There's a lot of uncertainty. So therefore, if I was an institution that needed to update my codes and now it's being pushed back, I might say, you know what, next month, next year, I'll focus on that. I think the challenge for Paresh, and you can certainly glean this from the questions, is, okay, how do I get less dependence on the Department of Defense? How do I expand my model? He's got a lot of expertise. You'll see in the documents that he's potentially thinking of moving down to community hospitals, to independent nursing homes, hospice outfits, organizations, and I've seen this having been in the call center space, where you know, you get call centers with 1,000 employees, they have their own IT operation, they can handle everything. You get down to a call center that has 30 to 40 people in it, and we end up being the support desk. And even though we're providing a software service, we're also, you know, the first question we ask sometimes is, well, have you turned the computer on? Because that help desk just isn't available in a smaller organization. So if you focus on community hospitals and say smaller hospice type organizations, one really has to understand, you know, what are the challenges of getting into that marketplace? Do you want to get yourself, you know, down into the weeds of providing all that information? And I had a brief conversation with Paresh yesterday, saying, okay, because part of the activities that he does is he provides appointment services, scheduling services, and so is there a way of then partnering with some of the software providers so that you provide the technical expertise, you host it, and therefore you can ensure that it's available 24/7 and it's in compliance. But you know, find a software partner who's willing to devote the cost to create the technology, or it's already there, and it's a matter of just converting it from a premise-based solution to a hosted solution.